Happy 4th of July, America. Hey everyone, welcome to Campbell's Coins. 4th of July, my favorite holiday of the year. But unfortunately, I wanted to bring a slightly heavy topic for you all. And given everything that's going on in the world and in the US, I feel it's very necessary to explain why it is so important to hold gold and silver. Now, before I get into everything, I want to apologize if you see the video start and stop, or there's like a little slight edit. I'm right next to a road, so there might be some road noise that I'm trying to cut out. There's also someone doing construction behind the house that I'm in, so yeah, I may cut out those noises. There's some skill saws, stuff like that. Don't want that going on. So getting to the point of the video, we've been locked down for 2 months. We may be going into another quote-unquote lockdown. There's some stores that are shutting down again, bars, restaurants, that sort of thing, with COVID expanding. And then as soon as we were starting to just pop out of this lockdown, some rioting, a lot of rioting and protesting is going on mainly in the US, but also across the world. And I think that what is going on right now is a prime example of why you should hold physical gold and silver. It's insurance. Maybe you have a fire extinguisher in your house just in case there's a fire. Maybe you and your people in your family have guns to protect yourself and each other. Those are also forms of insurance. It's in case something happens. But I think a lot of people will skip out on the economic protection. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how gold and silver will protect you in an economic collapse. Coming up. We live in extremely uncertain times. 2 months ago, if you were going to mention to somebody that major cities were talking about defunding police, you would probably laugh at them. A lot can change in a short amount of time. The same thing with the economy. Who would have thought that just, a few months ago, a huge pandemic would break out and nearly shut down the entire world? I'm sure that there have been a lot of people out there that say that this could happen, but for big rumbling truck. Thank you. Really appreciate that. For the most part, nobody really saw this huge pandemic coming, and they didn't see the consequences of this pandemic either. So with everything going on, what if the banks closed tomorrow? What if there was a financial hold across the board? They didn't want people to make a run for the banks to take out their money, so they put a hold. They do what they call a bank holiday. A bank holiday is when a bank shuts down unexpectedly. And these have happened throughout America's history. This isn't something that is just, like, oh, that happened one time. No, this is something that occurs fairly frequently. The same thing happens with the stock market. Anytime it drops a certain percentage, the plunge protection is there to stop it, and it shuts down the market entirely so that more transactions cannot allow the stock market to fall further. That's a form of manipulation. This was mostly inputted right after 2008. The stock market crashed then. When you have so many companies being dumped, the plunge protection is there to stop the stock market entirely. And sometimes this happens multiple times. Sorry, fly. Sometimes this happens multiple times within a day if the day's news isn't so great. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what if people stopped using the paper currency that we currently use? What if you stopped working? What if you couldn't go back to work? These are really important questions that you should be asking yourself in terms of, what do I need to protect myself going forward? Because the government isn't and shouldn't be there to protect you. How would you get the things that you need? Maybe some of you will barter your other tangible items. Maybe some of you will find odds and end jobs to create some more income. But there are very few things that people will accept in an economic collapse. And two of those things is gold and silver. For over 5 millennia, silver has been used as a monetary metal. It wasn't until 1970 that we took silver out of our own currency. And this was due to the shortage of silver supply that was out there in the US. But for most of our written history, human written history, silver has been used as a monetary metal. For 50 years, we haven't had silver in our currency. It's like we've forgotten most of our human history in just 50 years. But this pandemic was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people. When supply chains tightened and food shortages became very evident to a lot of people, I think a lot of people took notice that it doesn't take much time or much effort for food to just disappear. And that scared a lot of people. And in desperate times, that's when we start seeing desperate people. Getting to the crux of the video, gold is good as insurance. Silver is excellent as a tool of barter. And gold doesn't necessarily have to help you when there's an economic collapse. It can help you when there isn't one. When COVID hit and people were out of work, gold came to the rescue. They were able to sell off some of their gold. I know some people who sold off some of their gold to pay their bills, to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage. It served its purpose in those times. They didn't have an income coming in, they couldn't work, but gold was there and it served as a store of value, and they were able to sell that and turn it into the necessary fiat currency that they needed to pay off those bills, especially when income wasn't coming in. Those stimulus checks, I don't think were released until late April, maybe early May. So there was quite a while before people actually had some money coming into them. And that's how gold functions. It is an insurance policy. I can tell you that nearly all of my savings is in gold and silver. And I'm not telling you that that's what you should do, because not everything that I do works for other people, but I'm just letting you know that that helps me, that works for me. And I bought these metals when they were much, much lower in price than they are today, so I feel comfortable doing that. I also have my stack, my collection, in multiple locations, very secure, and I feel much more secure than a random bank. Silver can be used as an insurance policy, but it's much more useful in a bartering type situation. All pre-$64 dollars, half dollars, quarters, and dimes are made with 90% silver. And these fractional silver coins, not only are they recognizable, but they are perfect forms of barter because they are fractional silver. It's not a whole ounce of silver or 10 ounces of silver like a 10-ounce bar. Fractional silver is great for purchasing food and other items that you would normally need that you cannot get in a collapse with the normal currency. Now, I mentioned that silver is also a good insurance policy like gold. It is, but it's not as good as gold. And there's a few reasons for this. Silver right now is so much cheaper than gold that one would need a large amount to sell off and to store in order to get that same amount in a little bit of gold. For instance, a half ounce of gold you could probably sell off for around $1,000 right now. $1,000 in silver is probably around 50 ounces, and that's a huge heavy chunk. So if you had to sell off, let's say, enough metal to cover $5,000 worth, that would be a lot of silver. But in gold, it is a very, very small amount that could be really well hidden and stored. Gold simply is able to store a lot of wealth in a small amount of space. And piggybacking on this topic, I think that you should hold physical gold and silver fractional pieces on you at all times, especially if you are far from home, like on a trip, vacation, something like that. I'm currently up in the mountains right now, so I am far from my stack, but I have a roll of silver dimes here, and I have 5 grams of fractional gold. I keep this on me because if the situation were to arise where I needed to get food or I need to get home and the fiat currency that we currently use today, the dollar, isn't accepted, I have another means to get food and to get home. Those are my reasons why I feel you should have gold and silver to protect you in an economic collapse. What do you think are my reasons? Did I miss something that's probably is pretty important? There may be. This is what I could come up with in a short amount of time, but let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate all your comments. You guys help me a lot, and hit that like button while you're writing a comment. I really do appreciate that. It helps boost the visibility of my videos to other people. I want to thank you all so much for watching Campbell's Coins, and that is my 2 cents.